Alright, we're gonna do this through my headphones, so hopefully it's better audio. Alright, first, let me get my drink. Because I'm about to drop some elite ball knowledge. Alright, where were we? So, today's episode is gonna be about, I don't really have a title. We're kind of just gonna wing it and go from there. So, God is gonna give you an idea, and whether what you choose to do with that idea is fully upon you. Okay, you can either one take it, or you can just say, okay, whatever about it. Let me turn my game back on so I got better lighting. And God doesn't, He doesn't give us images and like stuff like that for no reason. He always gives us, a vision or an idea or something like that, or He talks to us a certain way, all that for a reason. And I kind of realized that today because I had my car getting serviced, and I was looking at this Kia K5, and this car salesman came up to me, and he was like, you want it? I was like, I wish, bro. He was like, bro, don't wish, just. He was like, don't think, just do. And oh, my bad, I said that wrong. He was like, bro, don't wish, just do, don't think. And that kind of hit me a little harder than it should have, because like I feel like a lot of us, we think of doing things, and we sit on it and we think about it for a while, and I feel like the longer we think about it, the like longer like drags us down, and kind of like bothers us. And like, say you think of this good idea, but you don't want to bring it up to your friends or your family because you don't really know how they'll respond, or you don't really know how they'll like basically respond, and you're kind of um I'm sorry, I'm trying to really find out what the words to say. You know, give me one second. Let me think, because I'm trying to drop some good stuff. Give me one second, because like I say in my videos, I'm not off the script. I'm just going off the thinker. Right. So you're kind of scared on what others will think, and if you care what others think, and you care what others say about you, or you're scared of what others may say about you or think, then they already own you. And what that means is, of course, they don't own you like a son or a daughter. What that means is they own you mentally, and that can mean a lot of things, whether that's physical or mental. you know a lot of it, you could take as mental, but what I mean by the physical way is, how, like, you like act a certain way around certain people, or you think certain things around certain people, and you kind of just like do things a certain way around certain people. I do the same thing, like my buddies. I'm completely different, and if I'm with someone that's important, or older, more mature, it's a different audience. Okay, so you have to act accordingly, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, okay, I have a good friend, Silas. I want to drop him. All right, let's say I think of this amazing idea, and I'm like, bro, like, that's so cool, and I want to post about it, but I'm like, wait, I'm kind of scared because what if Silas slides up and calls me names, or puts a funny sticker that and I'm trying to be serious, and then I'm like, if he's gonna sit there and make fun of it, and not take me serious, and that's gonna bother me, because I want to feel heard. I want to feel like someone's like feeling the same way I'm feeling. And hold on. Ah, my bad. All that talking. But my point of this is, whether how you think of something determines whether they own you mentally or not. And I'm not saying have an ego, or just like have like I don't care attitude, or just become cold and brutal. I'm saying just like do things accordingly to how you would want things done, and do things as if you were the only person in the world, and you want to post whatever, and you don't care what people say or comment or share, and anything else like that. And that's not only with just content, but with also life. if you feel like you don't fit in this room and you kind of just like in the back shadow, and you just feel like you don't belong, that's okay. I mean, just like, try to like read the room the best you can and just try to play the part the best that you can and just try to fit in, because I had this one job, and I kind of felt like I stuck out, and I kind of felt like I didn't really like fit in. And I read the room, did it about 10-20 minutes, and I started like making jokes, becoming I was showing a little bit of smile. I was starting to get comfortable, and then everyone there loved me. And that's not just about them like loving you, it's or appreciating you. It's about finding yourself and finding yourself with others, and finding yourself mentally. And if you can't feel like you can do that on your own, you're never alone. You always got God by your side. And like, the things that God can do are just absolutely just insane. And not just like, oh, like what, like, it's amazing what God can do. Like, even for me, I'm classified as terminally ill, and I have 30 pages of things wrong with me, and I'm sitting here talking to you right now. And I mean, that's just a true blessing at 19. And like, the people, I don't see how they have the same how they don't have the same mindset as me, because I mean, I have 30 pages of stuff, yeah, but I'm not, like, oh, poor pity me, or, like, stuff like that. I'm like, all right, God gave me this vision, God gave me this idea, and I'm gonna try to make this work. And, because I found myself, and, I was staying true to myself, and staying true to God, and, constantly praying. And I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. Of course it's gonna be hard. And whenever it feels hard is whenever God is the closest, because whenever God feels far away, let me make sure I quoted that right. No, I did not quote that right. I am sorry. What I meant to say was, whenever God feels furthest is whenever he is closest. Whenever he feels closest is whenever he is furthest. Because remember, whenever you pray, there's two people on the phone listening. And what that means is, you know, let's say I pray for something, or I pray for, I'm going to Orlando tomorrow, so, gonna pray for that. I'm gonna pray for safe travels, because I've never gone there by myself before. So for me, that's kind of a heavy thing. Kind of a scary drive. But I know that God has me, and I know that God has my back, and I know that I will get there safely and do what I need to do with the people that I'm gonna meet, and I'm gonna get things done the way they should be. And you know that's 100% through God. But whenever I pray for that, God's not the only one listening. The devil's also listening. And whenever you stay true to your faith, and you stay true to God and Christianity, that's whenever the devil can't get you, because you're so. Remember, the creator is always more powerful than the created. Never forget that. So Satan was never Satan himself. Satan was actually an archangel in heaven, and the first sin was not classified on earth as the first sin. It was actually in heaven. And what that means is, let me make sure I'm putting this right, because I don't fully understand it either. So someone in the comments try to like put it around and try to like help me out here the best that I can. What I mean by this is, which is, I could completely quote this wrong, so again, please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know that. I'm trying. I'm new to this, and I'm trying the best that I can. Please work with me and give me time. Back to what I was saying. The first sin was not the apple. It was not Eve eating the apple and stuff like that. It was actually pride. And what that means is that, Lucifer is his actual name. But so we're going to call him Lucifer. And he saw his beauty in heaven, and he saw what he was. And, he saw what he basically just was. And he was in heaven. You're gorgeous. You're out of this world. You're 10 words I'm not even gonna quote, because none of it's even remotely possible, like, to even come close to what heaven is like. And Lucifer kind of saw that, and he saw his pride, or he saw his beauty, and that was the first sin, was pride. And he tried to overrule God, actually. And God said, no, I strike you down. And Jesus says in the Bible that he saw Lucifer get strike down from heaven like lightning and come to this earth. And this is to my beliefs. This is 100% not real for what I'm about to say. It's just my beliefs. I feel like Lucifer is, or Satan, whatever you want to call him, is because in the Bible it says he was struck down to earth like lightning. Maybe he isn't like, a figure like, me and you. Maybe he's within people. And what I mean by that is he corrupts their mind, he corrupts their ways, he corrupts their thinking, and he makes them do irrational things that they would never do. My point of this video is to, I don't really have a point, really. I'm just kind of just rambling and just going from there. I don't really have a point for tonight's video. I was just saying kind of what was on my mind and just going from there. But to summarize this all, because this video is getting a little lengthy of me just rambling. Give me like 30 seconds to think of what I need to say. So I'm sorry, I apologize. I am not at all ready. But it's alright, because I know God will give me the wisdom and God will give me the words. Right, okay. So whenever you feel lost, you're not actually lost. And, because you always got God by your side. And, whenever you just feel lost mentally or physically, or, because I was praying earlier at the dealership and I was like, God, I'm having some things happen in my life and, I'm true to you with my words, but I'm not, I feel like I'm fading away through my mind. And I opened up TikTok and there's this pastor that I really like. He's the first video that pops up and I was like, And I sat there and I watched this video and I got humbled in a good way. Because, the past 3-4 days he hasn't been there. And I feel like God was like, no, you're getting off track. You're getting off focus. Here is why you're here. Back to your focus, because it's kind of hard for me to read the Bible. Because, it's hard for me to, like, fully understand stuff like that. Because it uses big words and it uses some terms that I've never heard of. And so I just don't want to, like, get anything wrong. But, again, you're never really alone. You're really... And, whenever you pray, don't expect it to be, instant, like a follow notification or, a text message. That's not how that works. He's, like I just said, he's going to answer you whenever you least expect it. And I actually know, I noticed that today. I actually had something happen that I prayed for a couple months ago. I'm not going to say what it was, but I was like, man, I don't really remember praying that prayer, but if I did, God, thank you. Because what happened was a blessing, and I know that the only person that can make that really happen is God. But you're never alone, and if you need mental help and you need something, or you're gonna talk to somebody, leave a comment and send me your social media or follow me on social medias, and I'll send me a message and I'll see it. I answer all my notifications, and I'll talk to you. No money, no videos, no podcast, nothing needed, because I understand what it's like to be alone and to need somebody. So if you do ever feel like you need somebody, talk to me, and I'm 100% here. Good night.